All right, let's bring people in. Hey, everybody. Welcome, Mr. Hawaii. That's probably real behind you, right?
Looks like a screen.
It was taken 2 days ago. I am inside right now, but that is a real Hawaiian rainbow taken 2 days ago.
Wow, 2 days ago. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Ellen, am I going to have to admit single people in now?
I don't know.
I'll take a look at that.
Let him in.
I'll take a look at that because I just had to let Eileen in. So.
Okay, cool. All right. So we still have a couple people connecting to audio and video and all that good stuff. So do you go by Joseph or Joe?
I go by Joe. Joe's fine.
Joe, okay. Joe, do you know how to change your name?
I do.
Okay, can you change it to Joe so I don't call you by the wrong name? Thank you. Awesome, great. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Eva. Is it Eva or Ava?
It's Eva.
Eva, welcome, Eva.
Hi, Eva.
Pam, welcome.
Hi, Eva.
So if you've joined us and your camera's off, I hope you'll turn your camera on so we can see your wonderful faces. And Eva, that piece of art behind you looks amazing. That is so cool. Hi, Eileen.
Hi.
How's New York?
It's good. A little bit of a blanket of snow.
You guys are getting it too, huh?
Yes. Maybe you have more snow. I don't know. But we've got a bit here. Yeah.
We have 0 snow. Joe is in Baltimore. He's getting some snow. So.
Right.
Eva, where are you?
I live in Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
You have no snow. Nice, very nice, definitely. Well, I think you and Mark are going to compete for the best spots. He lives in Hawaii, so. So Pam, are you with us? Can I ask you to unmute and turn on your camera? And Praveen is still joining us. I hope I'm saying that right. Praveen, if you can turn on your camera and join us, that would be great. We'd love to see your smiling faces.
Ellen, I will just make sure everybody gets in. So when you guys want to start, go ahead. I do have to let people in one at a time now after the select all. So.
Okay, no problem. Right. I'll kind of keep an eye. Oh, somebody's getting the dinner out of the oven. Ooh, I hope it's delicious.
Can you share with everybody?
Yeah. Did anyone else? I brought a drink. Hint. Anyone else bring anything to the party? Danny, yours is hidden by your magic screen.
Boring water.
Oh, boring water. I have fun water, so I'm excited. So anyway, once again, Pam, if you are there, Praveen, if you're there, if you could turn on your video camera so we can see your smiling faces, because we all kind of participate together here. And somebody else is still joining. Their video and audio seems to be slow in joining. So anyway, so we're going to do everybody. First of all, are you on grid view? Do you know what grid view, Brady Bunch view, Hollywood Squares view, whatever you want to call it? So what that means is you see a bunch of people on the screen. Joe, do you have your grid view on?
I do.
All right, great. I'm sure Mark and Eileen do. Eva, I don't know. Eva just went to get, maybe she's got dinner in the oven as well. We'll see. You're on mute, Eva.
I'm getting my beverage.
Oh, good idea. Good idea. Okay, great. So what we're going to do to warm up tonight is I don't think I need to tell anybody else anything at this point, unless you don't know how to mute and unmute, which you all seem to do as well, is we are just gonna all say hello to each other at one time. And what that looks like is I'm gonna have you unmute yourselves and turn your cameras on, and I'm gonna say on the count of 3, everyone say hello. But we're not just gonna say hello, we're gonna say hello the way we would say where you are originally from. So for instance, I'm from Minnesota. So I'm gonna probably say, yeah, hey there. Jim, how are you gonna say hello? Where are you from?
Yo, New York.
All right, great. So wherever you're from, however you want to say hello, hi Margot, nice to see you. On the count of 3, we're all going to unmute and we are going to say at the same time, hello. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, hey there.
Hey, hon.
Hello.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I heard some great hellos there. Good job. Well, congratulations. You guys have already improvised tonight. That was your first improvisation, just saying hello any way you wanted to. So we got that out of the way, right? Great. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about performance. So I am performing for you right now. I am performing a session. Everybody's watching me and listening to me, hopefully, and paying attention to what I'm saying. And I'm using body language and tone of voice, hopefully, and I'm not just talking in monotone most of the time. That's my performance. I bet you didn't know that audiences perform. Did you know that? If I look at all of you, you are actually performing for me, unless your camera's off. Then I can't tell if you're performing for me. But if I can see you, I am watching what your body language is telling me and reading those things. So I'm going to ask you to perform on purpose for me. The first thing, what that means is I'm going to say a word and I want your body language and your facial expressions to match that word, okay? So when I say the word, put it on your face and put in your body posture, okay? So I want you to perform bored for me. I want to see bored. I want to see a whole bunch of bored people. Let's see, bored. Joe's blinking his eyes like, that's great. Very bored, very bored. Oh,
I'm trying to think of like my
texting.
teenage
There we go.
kids.
Awesome. Good job. Great job being bored. Okay. So next what I want you to do is perform confused. Like, what is she talking about? You might have to perform that a lot tonight. But anyway, see, oh, that looks very confused, Joe. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Eva,
Well,
are you confused?
you kind of broke up.
Yeah, oh, there
I
you
didn't
go.
hear
She's
actually
got that
what you were
side
asking
mouth
for.
thing going on.
It was confusion.
Great job being confused. That's awesome. So the last one that I want you to perform for me as an audience member is, this is so great. I love this. Let's see that. I love this. This is so great. I want to see that in your body language and your facial expressions. Oh, I see it. Yes, there we go. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Now, just hold that look for the next hour, okay? Perfect. I'm just kidding. So often we are not aware of our performance, how we're impacting other people with what we're doing, even when we're on Zoom, right? But when we go through our day, we kind of go through our performance on autopilot. So I want to tell you really quick about somebody's performance that had a really big impact on me. I years ago fell over a cliff. I tripped and literally did a somersault over a cliff and landed seated on some rocks. Horrible. Like I'd almost rather. Pardon?
We lost you for a second, Alan.
You lost
Yeah,
me for
we
a
heard-
second.
I heard you after I lost you after fell on rocks.
Okay. All right. Am I back?
Yes.
Okay. So I fell on the rocks and I had to go get a cortisone shot, and I was terrified of getting a shot in my back. But I went because I was in a lot of pain, and I went in the room, in the exam room, and in walked Dr. Geeta Nagpal. She took one look at me and saw that I was terrified. And so she pulled her chair around and sat right in front of me, looked me in the eye and started chatting with me. Figured out very quickly, we both had boys, and we started talking about raising our boys. And I started relaxing, and my shoulders weren't up by my ears anymore. So as soon as she noticed that, in hindsight, I can tell she switched over to explaining the procedure, and at which point my shoulders went back up and I got terrified again. And so she switched back to talking about our boys and raising kids, and I relaxed again. And she did that throughout the entire procedure, even when I was face down on the table and she was at the computer. There was one point where I could tell the needle was going in and I started freaking out, and she started talking about the boys again. It was an amazing performance, and it made a huge difference for me. So tonight, what we hope you take away is that you can expand your own performance range a little bit from what our autopilot performance is, so that you can have more of an impact on the people that you deal with. And speaking of performance, a lot of people ask Jim and I why we work together, especially those that know us, because I am not a baseball fan. Not at all, actually. So, Jim, you want to tell them a little bit about how we started working together?
Sure. Most people think that Ellen asked me to work with her, because why would a baseball player ask an improviser to do improvisation? But that's not true. I actually asked her. I met Ellen at a Toastmasters club. I was working on giving speeches, and Ellen politely, instead of telling me that I sucked, she said, take improv classes. It will help your speaking ability. So I listened, even though I'm kind of an introvert. I don't like performing. I don't like doing any of that, but it took about a year. But when I took those classes, I came back and I realized that they really had an effect on me. And I knew if I could have learned these lessons before my career, I would have been a much better player and teammate. So when I came back, I was talking to Ellen about, these exercises and how to relate to baseball. And we started relating them to not only life, but business. So I asked her, we should work together. I'd rather do something engaging, interactive, experiential than just talking to a group of people for an hour. So here we are.
Here we are. And so we really have a great time working together. I really enjoy it. And stories really are powerful. We as individuals can make a difference and be the difference on a team. So tonight we are going to work together. We're going to be going into breakout rooms. We're going to be working together together on this screen, and we're going to be taking a few risks. And if you're willing to take a few risks, actually, that gives other people courage to take some risks as well. I promise you, we're not going to put you in any really scary or horrible situations, nothing like that. It's just, we're going to be doing some activities, and you might be stepping a little bit out of your comfort zone or your normal zone, but I promise you it will be fun. So just postpone any judgments you might have of yourself or any of the activities. I promise you when you leave, they'll be at the door waiting for you. But for now, if you can postpone judgments, it really helps. So, and you might wonder why we're doing some of the activities. You might think I don't understand. Why would they ask me to do this? But we just ask you to trust us, that we scaffold everything. So as you go, you keep learning, and you will be talking about what you're learning and if it applies and how it applies to your own jobs. So Jim is going to be setting up breakout rooms. How many of you have been okay, so I need everybody to turn on their camera so we can judge who's going to be able to participate in the breakout rooms. Margot, I know, knows breakout rooms inside and out. Margot does amazing work with this, with applied improvisation with all kinds of people, and she's got a tremendous podcast and everything. Eva, can you come back on camera? Praveen, can you come on camera? And Brad and Pam, we'd love to see your faces on camera, because we are going to be putting you into breakout rooms with one other person. And if they can't see you, it'll be kind of like talking to themselves, playing with themselves. That doesn't sound very good. Anyway, if you can come on camera.
Ellen, Praveen said in the chat that Praveen is driving, so may not be able to.
Okay, Ellen, is Margot or Pam online? I'm trying to look. I could move it to that other room.
Margot's online,
Okay.
and Praveen, Margot, would you mind working with Praveen? You won't
Well-
be able to see her, but you'll be able to hear Praveen. Is that okay?
No problem, no problem.
I was gonna
Praveen?
move her in there with Brad.
Okay. Actually, I'm not sure that Praveen is actually going to be able to talk. So maybe we'll keep Praveen out here in the room with us. And if she's able to join with her voice, we'll have her participate. But other than that, so Brad, and Pam, if you're there, we're going to be putting you in a breakout room. So Jim, do you have them all set up?
Yes, I'm all ready.
Okay, don't go. So here's what's going to happen. You are all going to share with each other your favorite memory of this time of year. So think for just a second of a memory from this time of year that you really like. First thing that comes to mind is fine. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. You're going to be going into the breakout room and sharing that memory with your partner. And we call it speed dating style because you're only going to have 5 minutes for the two of you. So when you get in the room, just introduce yourself very quickly. And then whoever has their birthday closest to today will go first. So whoever's birthday is closest to December 17th is going to go first, okay? And what you will tell your story first, and then make sure there's enough time for your partner to tell the story, their story. And here's one more thing. Listen carefully while your partner's talking because you will be sharing your partner's story. Let me say that again. You will be sharing your partner's story. So listen carefully, okay? So I'm going to be sending you into we're going to be sending you into breakout rooms. If for some reason, whoever you're in the breakout room can't talk to you, just leave the breakout room and come on back and we'll play with you out here. Okay. And we'll just bring the other person back as well. So Jim, if you can keep an eye on that, that would be great.
All right, you
So
want to 5 minutes?
Yep. 5 minutes, please. Any questions? That's pretty clear, I think. Okay, great. So if you can now all go into your breakout rooms, we'll see you in 5 minutes.
All right, here we go.
Yes. I'm joined, but probably because the phone never registered, I'm just sitting here waiting to be told what to do.
Okay, we can't see you at all. You're not registering on the thing. So why don't you just jump all the way off and, or leave, stay on the one and join with your phone as well, okay?
I don't know how to join with my phone. I don't know how I would do that. I'm staring at room 3. It says join, Danny Bobro. It says Ellen not joined, Ellen's phone not joined, Jim's phone not joined.
Oh, so you're in the breakout room. Okay,
I
I'm
would,
going to pull you out of the breakout room.
yeah, thanks. I was assigned to room 3, so I
Okay.
joined.
All right,
Okay,
bye.
bye. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm well. As you can imagine, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here. And
That's okay.
I don't know how long it's been. What's that?
I was on a computer that didn't have a video or audio, so I had to change.
Okay. Well, they're asking me to leave the breakout room now, so stand by, please. All right, one
Okay.
moment.
And so when we finally did the performance, everybody's listening now. And when we finally did the performance, I had my brother's long john pajamas on. And what I did not realize is when I turned around to do my little bunny twerking at the end, everybody was laughing because it was a boy's set. And, you know, it had the thing for a boy on the back. So it was a bittersweet memory, but it's one of my fondest memories.
That's awesome, Margot. I love that. So we had a few technical glitches. I apologize. I hope those of you that were in breakout rooms with other people got to have a little bit of fun hearing each other's stories and what we're going to do to make up for it. And hi, Brad. I know you joined us after we got started. So if you want to just sit back and listen for a little bit, we'll catch you up, okay? So people were in the breakout rooms sharing their favorite holiday stories, and now they are going to share their partners' stories with the rest of us. Okay, so I'm going to call on people to share their partner stories, and I'm going to start with I'll start with Eileen. Eileen, are you willing to share your partner story?
Boy, if I said no, that wouldn't be a very good start. But
I know where you are.
Because no, Joe has so many great memories to share, and what was great is that he gave me the early and the back in childhood and now. So for Joe, favorite memories of holiday seasons past were digging tunnels in the snow. And that adventure. And more recently, the day after Thanksgiving has become a baking day. I mean, I guess this year it's a little bit different, but he worked for a bakery that provided buns from McDonald's, and and other big companies. And so when you think about like what do you give to people who have everything that they need or have tons of money and could buy whatever, and it's that homemade touch. So they took on this life of its own of baking over 100 dozen cookies, homemade, all different kinds of fancy cookies with chocolate and coconut and cherries and different things, and then wrapping them up beautifully and then giving them to people, and the joy, not just of the holiday time family baking, but also giving it to somebody who then is so excited to get something beautiful and delicious and homemade. So,
oh, I'm hungry. I want a cookie. That's a great story. I love that.
And she told it so well.
Well, Joe, would you be willing to tell Eileen's story?
Sure. So it was a pleasure being in a room with Eileen and hearing a little about her childhood memories. And it was a fond memory about making ornaments. And so they would baking as well. So there's some baking involved in that too. But with her mom and her sisters, they would mix some flour and some other simple ingredients together, and then make the shape of different ornaments. And one of them involved a garlic press. So it's kind of fun. And they would give them out as gifts to people.
Very cool. I love this. This is great. Eva, did you hear anybody's story, or were you squirreled away by yourself?
I was by myself.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Can we hear your favorite holiday story?
Well, I just remember that we grew up, my children grew up in a very non-Jewish area. And when we had Hanukkah, most of the kids didn't even know what it was. They'd never heard of a menorah. We lived in Easton, Pennsylvania at the time, and I hosted this Hanukkah party every year where we had song sheets and we played dreidel, and the kids got, I made food and latkes and all of it. I did all of it. And those kids came every single year for years. And
wow.
By the end, I mean, when these kids were in high school, they knew all of our Hanukkah songs. M-A-C-C-A-B-E, Maccabee, or...
oh, we have a singer.
right, or I am a laka. We have really cute songs that we would sing.
I love it.
And I looked back at old pictures this year, looking at these kids. We still communicate with them, and some of them say, how meaningful that time was for them, that they were able to participate in our tradition. And I think it really gave them, education for living in the world today.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. And I wish we were doing musical improv tonight. So Margot,
Why not? Why not do some musical improv tonight?
Exactly. Margot does it. Margot, would you be willing to share Mark's story?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the fantastic Mark Levine. And he hails from West Orange, New Jersey, which is it's just a hop and a jump for where I grew up, but we didn't know each other until tonight. And Mark's family celebrated Hanukkah, and there was 8 nights of Hanukkah, and every night they got a gift. And when I was growing up, I was very jealous of my friends that celebrated Hanukkah because they got a terrific gift every single night. And Mark really enjoyed that time of year and being with his family. I'm not sure what else I've missed, Mark. I hope I didn't miss anything else.
Very good.
I think it was a wonderfully told story. Well done, Margot. Well done. And I'm going to call on Mark, and if you want to fill anything in, you can. And then would you tell us about Margot's story? I know we heard the very tail end, but
yeah, you heard some of Margot's story. At the beginning, you didn't hear, and we did grow up around the corner from each other in northern New Jersey. Margot's lived near where the exterior of The Sopranos was filmed, one of her many claims to fame. And you can't tell this now, but she was a pretty shy kid. A little bit of an outsider, a little bit of a loner, a little awkward. But she wanted to perform. And the music teacher one year picked Margot and another girl to perform in the Winter Wonderland show, which is a pretty big deal for her. And she and the other girl rehearsed, getting ready for the big show. And you might have heard the end of the story. They had to both wear long johns, and she borrowed her brother's long johns. And I guess I don't know enough about long johns and the difference between boys and girls. I imagine there's a flap in the front, but apparently there's something different in behind, because when Margot turned around to do her dance and move her tush, people noticed that it was a boy's long john, and that created a lot of frivolity and laughter in the audience. So she entertained on many levels in the 5th grade Winter Wonderland show.
Well, bravo to all of you online clapping here. Great job telling all the stories. That was delightful. Hearing about other people's stories is a great thing. And speaking of stories, Jim has a really great story about, well, I'll let Jim tell his story and then we'll talk about the story and why we're doing all of this.
1998, I played for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and it was like the first year that I was fully in the big leagues, and I was doing really well 3 months in. And then my starting catcher got hurt, and I had to throw to a backup catcher. His name was Mike, and I wasn't very happy about it because in spring I threw to him a couple times, and I didn't really like throwing to him. He kind of had a smaller build. He didn't give me a great target. He took that glove and took it away before I was finished my pitch. So I had this mindset of negativity, and it affected me. I didn't pitch well the first couple of games, but that was my fault just because I had that mindset. But after a while, I realized I really did like throwing to Mike, but it wasn't because of his catching. It was because it was the relationship I built with him. And at one point, I finally asked him, I said, can you just, spread yourself out, give me a bigger glove and keep it there until the ball reaches the plate? And I wasn't sure of his answer. Some people have some pretty big egos and they might tell me, screw off, you don't know anything about catching. But Mike didn't do that. He's like, okay, whatever you need, I'll do it. And, it was those kind of things that made me feel like I was part of a team, because, when I was out on that mound, say on the road, and there's 50,000 fans cheering against me, Mike was there to help me out. And, he'd come to that mound just before I'm, facing bases loaded with a screaming crowd. And he'd be like, Jim, how'd you feel? How did you feel in the bullpen? What's working? What's not? What's your plan? And they would, tap me on the shoulder and he'd be like, come on, we got this, and he'd get back to the plate. Same thing. He's about to give a sign. I see him going, come on, we got it. And it just felt, I was just motivated. And, I felt like he had my back and he was part of a team. And the thing is, the rest of the pitching staff did. You'd go to the bullpen and you hear guys talking, I love throwing to Mike, and it wasn't lost on pitching coach, the manager, even the general manager and up higher, and even for other teams, because Mike, despite not having great stats, he was a professional baseball player for 10 seasons. And I really believe it was because he had the ability to build those relationships, build trust, and to connect with people.
I love that story. And I think it's so powerful. Just building relationships can make such a difference. And all of you sharing your stories helped us to build a relationship with each other, right? And it's true that the more we know somebody, it makes even strangers like us better if we connect and tell each other stories. So everyone hear me okay? I just gotta, yeah, okay, great. Okay. So anyone else have any comments about what it was like to have somebody else tell their story? What was it like for you to have someone else tell your story? Mark?
Well, what I noticed about Margot is she I don't remember how she started it, but she did build it up even before she started the story. Either saying this is a great story, wonderful story, interesting story. And that felt good, that she was setting the stage, which I think inspired me to set the stage higher for her story.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful. Joe, can I ask you, put you on the spot? Sorry, what was it like for you to have Eileen share your story?
I liked it. I thought she shared it very well. And it was just fun to hear her share all the details of it. I wish I could return the favor a little bit better.
It was fun to have all those details to be able to recount too. It's helpful when we share the fullness of our story.
Right.
That's great. Margot, yes.
Yeah, and it just feels good to be listened to by somebody. And that they, in this exercise, we're maybe paying more attention than we might normally because we've got the task of repeating the story. But I think it's a great exercise in really connecting, like we're talking about, with other people, and really using that active listening as well.
It really makes people feel like you value what they have to say when you listen. And we have so much on our mind all the time, even when we're on a Zoom, half the time you might be thinking about, I wonder when I'm going to be done here so I can eat because I'm starving. All kinds of little things that go on in our minds, right? I mean, we actually can process 400 words a minute. Does anyone have a guess as to how many words per minute people actually speak? A guess.
Less than that.
A lot less than that. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 125 words in a minute. So if our brains can process 400 and people are talking at 125 or sometimes even slower, right? What happens? There's a big gap there, and our brains start wandering. So to really make somebody feel valued, sometimes you just really have to work hard at listening. It's not always easy. Years ago, I was in my 20s, actually. I started an event planning business, and back then people didn't really know what event planning was, so I needed a side gig. I signed up with a temp agency, and I got hired by a salvage company to help salvage a department store that had closed. Very strange gig, definitely, but I needed the money. And so while I was there, I was reading the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Old school book. I'm sure everyone's heard about it. But so I kind of used it as a textbook and used this salvage company as a testing ground for the book, right? So I got to this one section where it says you need to give honest and sincere appreciation and try and make someone feel important. So I arrived on Monday, and that was my job. I was going to see if I could give everybody honest and sincere appreciation. And I did, and it was fun, and it seemed to make people's day. And I got everyone on the whole crew except for Dan. Dan worked on the loading dock, and I went down to see Dan, and he's rude, and his hair is dirty and his clothes are disheveled, and there's just nothing to compliment him about. So I left, and every day I went back there for days until finally I show up, and there he was wearing some really cool cowboy boots. Now I admit that I was probably over enthusiastic because I finally found something to be appreciative of, but I started telling him how much I loved his cowboy boots, and he lit up and he started telling me this whole story about his cowboy boots, and he started talking about his background, and we started sharing stories, and we became buddies. And Dan began coming up from the loading dock to talk to us up on this floor, and everybody started liking Dan. At the end of that experience, the owners took us out to dinner, and I literally got toasted. I mean, I didn't drink too much. Well, maybe I did, but they made a toast to me for making such a difference on the crew. And I admit I felt a little strange. I felt like saying, but wait, I was just experimenting. But the truth is that I really was able to make people feel valued and valuable in a strange work environment. So it really, really can make a big difference. So enough talking. We're going to do some more fun stuff. We're going to start working on the foundation of improv, which is yes and, which many of you know. How many of you have heard of yes and? Raise your hand. So Joe has, because he's seen us before, right? Brad, have you heard of yes and before? No? Okay, great, good. So yes and really means that we accept what comes our way, and we accept the offers, and then we build on it. I'm going to actually have Jim tell a little bit more about what that means through baseball eyes.
In 1991 through 1998, I never made a major league team out of spring training. And, the first couple of years was just because I was green, I was young, I just wasn't ready. But towards the end there, I had opportunities, but I just couldn't do it. And the problem was I only have about 7 or 8 games in spring training to prove myself. So I would just use my strengths. I'm like, I better get out. So I'm going to just use my strengths. I won't work on my third pitch or anything like that. The thing is, that didn't really work for me. I didn't take any risks. The hitters started catching up to me. And it wasn't until 1998 that all changed. I was picked up by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in the expansion draft. And before spring training even started, my manager came up to me, Larry Rothschild, and he said, Jim, this is a young team. You have experience. A lot of these guys don't. So you are already on the team. So I don't want you to worry about pitching well. If you give up runs, don't worry about it. You're going to be in that bullpen. We don't know what your role is, but you'll be there. So I want you just think about getting better. Do whatever you can to improve. And it was the greatest gift because I just did that. I went out there and I didn't worry about giving up runs. I started throwing pitches that other coaches told me never to throw. You know, they told me, don't throw your screwball to right-hander hitters. It breaks right into their bat. Well, I found out that they were wrong. I developed a cutter. I started throwing pitches inside more to the players, and it was just experimentation. But by the end of that month and a half, I was better than I was in the last 5 years. And I went out that season, had a great season, and I never returned to the minor leagues. But that was all possible because I was given psychological safety. And we know that in the medical field, that's really not possible when you're dealing with a patient, right? But this is more about teams that you're on in your office. You know, if you're in your office and you're giving the people in the front of the office the ability to speak out without any consequences, you know, you're going to eliminate a lot of mistakes because sometimes they might be scared to tell you because they'll think that you'll tell them no. But the problem is, you know, they're not going to feel valued and those mistakes might be made. So it really is about that psychological safety. If you could do that, your team can build that trust and they can work out those problems. So Ellen, go ahead. What did exercise or activity do you have that emphasizes that psychological safety and yes and?
We're going to do word at a time proverb. And I'm going to explain what that means in just a second here. We're going to be sending you into breakout rooms. And this time I've got you all in the right breakout rooms. And Danny, do not accept an invitation to join a breakout room if you don't mind. We want your company out. Keep us company out here. So what's going to happen is Jim and I will demonstrate this. We're going to tell a proverb one word at a time. Can anyone tell me, give me an example of what a proverb is? Tell me a proverb. Margot.
A stitch in time.
A stitch in time. Friend in need. Better late than never. Those are all proverbs. We're going to do holiday themed proverbs and we're just going to make them up on the spot. So Jim and I are going to tell proverbs one word at a time. And when one of us thinks that we've got the proverb done, we just say proverb and the proverb is done. And they may make sense and they may not make sense. That doesn't matter. We're just doing this for fun. So, and we're yes-anding each other no matter what we say. So Jim, you want to start?
Christmas
Time
is
merry.
and
Proverb.
proverb.
Christmas time is merry. There we go. That's our proverb. Okay. We'll do one more proverb. All right. I'll start. When
You
try
to
eat
a
lutefisk
it
stinks.
proverb.
Proverb. There we go. Those are our proverbs. So we built off of each other. And sometimes people might say a word that you are like, what? Don't worry about it. Just say the first word that comes to mind and you two will work it out. If you can make note, if one of you is a fast writer, write down your proverbs. It's really fun to share them when you come out of your breakout room. So we are going to send you into your breakout rooms for 5 minutes. And what you're going to do is decide alphabetical order by first name. So if I was in a room with Mark and Eileen, it would be Ellen, Eileen, and Mark, and then Ellen, Eileen, and Mark, and just keep going around the room and do as many proverbs as you can, okay? So, any questions? No? All right, off you go. Just a second here, I gotta get you in there. Don't accept, Danny.
All right.
Sorry about that, Danny. I had no control of the breakout rooms and I don't think Jim knew how to pull you out, so.
I didn't
But
see
we-
how to pull them out. I didn't know.
We had two
That's all
people
right.
in the breakout rooms with us, or in the main room with us, and they told stories, so it all worked out. It was
Good.
really fun.
Now, what do we
That's
do
great.
about that, Ellen? I made a mistake of putting.
That's okay, Jim. We'll figure it out later, okay?
Okay.
Because we'll just have a chat with Danny right now. Oh, Margot. You're on mute. Sorry, you're on mute, Margot.
I was alone again.
You were alone? Okay, let me find you. Margot.
It's so nice to meet you, Jim. So inspiring, your stories. I love it.
Thank you, Margot.
Thank God Ellen helped you.
Yeah, for some reason, Margot, you're not showing up on my list. So, Margot, stay out here with us and have a chat.
Okay.
Rude, Eileen. I don't know why you're not on my list. So
Uh-oh, I hope I'm on Santa's list.
I hope you're on
Yeah,
Santa's
right.
list as well. So Margot, let's do some holiday, Margot and Danny and Jim, how about we do some holiday proverbs while we're being recorded out here in the main room?
Sure.
Sound good?
Sure. What's her
Okay.
order?
Let's see.
Me.
Danny, Ellen.
Danny, Ellen, Jim, Margot.
There we go. Oh, he's fast. Okay. Danny, Ellen, Jim, Margot. All right, Danny.
Winter.
Time.
Is.
Are we waiting for Jim? I'm sorry.
No, he
No,
said
we-
is.
Yes, it is.
Is very.
Invigorating.
Proverb.
Yay.
Woo!
Right.
All right, so now I start one, since Danny ended. Always.
Have.
Two.
Of.
Your.
Wreaths.
Placed.
On.
Your.
Windows.
Proverb.
Or-
Awesome. All right, Margot, you start.
Okay. Never.
Leave.
Santa's.
Socks.
On.
Any.
What?
Dogs. Proverb.
Proverb. All right, great, awesome. So while we're still in this room, and Margot, since you're such a you're so good at this, what would you say is the purpose of an activity like this for a team?
To really focus on listening, to understand listening, and you might have an idea about a word you want to say. You might be thinking ahead, but to absolutely get out of that head, get out of a need to control, and pay attention to what was the word said before you. Often in a one-word story, we tend to want to finish the story when we start script writing.
Say more about script writing.
Well, script writing is when we're getting into our head and we're thinking about how we think the story should end or what it should be. And so we're trying to like manipulate the words so people will say what we want them to say. And we have no control over what anybody else will say. This is improv. There's no way of finding that at all. So it really means cooperating and cooperating.
Which is a great way of improv imitating life, essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's also
Yep.
allowing you to get rid of that logical voice for a second and just know that whatever you throw out there is not going to be wrong. So you're always trying to,
Right.
you're fighting to think what's going to be said next, and that's just never going to happen.
Right.
Be
So it's-
in the moment.
I was just going to say, being mindful, Danny.
Which isn't always easy because, especially if you're on a healthcare team, you know, you probably want to have more control and need to have more control sometimes, right, Danny?
Absolutely. And that's why the team have really got to know what their roles are, and that the goal is the health, to do no harm, the health of the patient. And that means having everybody's back, being cross-trained, being comfortable to offer constructive evaluation if necessary, without fear. But if you know that you're all friends, you're all on the same team working towards the same goal, it's okay for someone to point out if we learned about this in CPR, you know, if somebody's doing too many, they're not doing their compressions properly, you've got to bring it to their attention, because you want to hurt their feelings, you want to kill the patient. Not a
There
tough
you
choice.
go. Yes. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming back. I
Welcome
hope you
back, and-
enjoyed.
Sorry, Ellen, I just wanted to make sure that whoever was in the breakout rooms, if you have any of your proverbs that you can remember, no matter, you know, maybe it's not all of it, but try to write it in the chat box so we could take a look at it.
Right. So, yes, if you can type in chat, that would be great. We'd love to see, or, you know, we're a smaller group. If you want to just share a proverb or two with us, we're open for that. Anyone want to share a proverb or two?
I'm happy to represent for
All right.
the three elves. Okay. we were waxing very poetic. These are in no particular order.
Okay.
Yeah, get ready. Santa has 7 reindeer.
Awesome. Yes. Profound.
Candy canes, sugar, and cookies are holiday. Snowy days are good to be with friends. And our grand finale, fuzzy bunnies jump high in the snow.
Oh, I love it.
Masterpiece.
Thanks. Our book's coming out. Just pre-order
I feel
now.
like I was there with you.
Thanks.
That's great. Well, since we had one room represented, would someone be willing to share from the other room? That would,
Mark.
Mark, please.
Representing Eva and Mark. We only captured one because we had warm-ups, like warm-up pitches in a bullpen. And our grand finale, drum roll please, rainbows are a way to express inner love.
Oh, my heart is breaking open. That's great. So I would love to hear from some of you what that was like for you, especially if Brad or Joe would be willing to share what that was like, and maybe how this might have to do with teams that you're on.
I felt like the odd man out. I felt like Eileen and Brad were doing a great job going back and forth, and I was one of those kind of stumbling. But it was just fun to have that kind of creativity. It was fun.
And I bet if I asked Eileen and Brad, they would probably say that they didn't notice that you were stumbling. But you know, that's if as my friend Alex Leviton says, if you don't feel some sort of imposter syndrome or negative self-image, sometimes you're a sociopath. So congratulations, you're not a sociopath, Joe.
I thought Joe did a great job, and I thought we all did a great job. It was a lot of fun. And it was fun when we came up with the crazy, profound messages.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it like yes-anding like that, Brad?
Well, yes, and is a positive way instead of yes, but.
We hear a lot of yes, but at work, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we do. Sometimes from patients.
Yes. Well, you know, it's funny that you say that because Brad, you're a doctor, right?
Right.
So I was telling my doctor about yes and he said, well, that's all well and fine, but you know what? I have patients that when they walk in the door, I'm just, they're rude and they're horrible to deal with. And I don't even want to talk to them. And I said to him, well, what if you were to just take a few minutes and really listen to them and make them feel heard and like really care for them for just a couple of minutes? Because if you feel that way about them, I'm guessing most people in their lives feel that way about them, right? You know, rude people are usually rude people. So, or horrible people are usually horrible. And he looked at me and he said, oh, that's tricky. He said, if I make him feel valued, then he's going to trust me. And that leads to better outcomes. And I said, yes, it's true. It's true. So, you know, it's the difference between empathy and compassion. If you feel empathy for someone, you feel that pain. It's a horrible thing. You literally, that the negative cortisol and all those other things go coursing through your brain. But if you turn empathy into action, that's compassion. So doing the work to make somebody better, feel better, taking action on the compassion, it actually lights up the positive reward pathways in your brain and you feel good and they feel good. So it's great for everybody. So I got that, by the way, from my favorite book, Compassionomics, which I'm sure you'd love to read. It's 280 studies and 1,000 abstracts. But the bottom line is that compassion actually is a good thing for healthcare practitioners because it has good outcomes. So I apologize to my partner because I kind of jumped around here. We were going to send you into breakout rooms and talk this over. But you know what? Right now, we're just going to take a really quick stretch break. Stand up, move around, go grab a glass of water for we'll just say for 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then come on back and we're going to do some more activities, okay?
Right.
Yes, Margot.
I thought, I didn't realize we were going to do an interactive workshop tonight, which is wonderful. However, I've been in improv classes almost all day long.
Oh boy.
But I don't want to let you guys down. So
It's okay, Margot. You go ahead.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Huh?
If you're tired, it's fine.
Yeah, it's so good. I want to stay a little bit longer, but my husband too just got home from work a little while ago. How are you going for 2 hours or an hour and a half?
No, we're done at
7:30.
6:30, at 7:30.
Oh, I'll stay for the last half hour then. I don't want to be, like that about it. But I was singing with Laura Hall today and Rick Hall.
Oh my gosh. Were you doing a podcast?
Well, I do classes with Laura. I take individual classes with her. And Rick came in today and we did some, three-headed singing. And then Rick and I did a scene, which was like, anyway, I'll take a short pause now and I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Brad, where are you? Beautiful part of the country.
It is.
Brad, it's been a long time since we've chatted. How have you been?
Been doing well.
I know you were in California last time we connected.
Right in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And then we worked with your successor.
Oh, good.
Dr. Lee. And did you talk to Jim Gundlach much?
Just got a Christmas card from him and talked to him last summer and got to give him a call pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Are you retired now?
I took about 6 months off after I moved up here and then decided I wanted to work a few days a week. And so worked in one practice for about 5 months, and 6 months decided that wasn't where I wanted to be, and joined another office downtown Portland, and really enjoyed it and worked 3 days a week there. So it's just right. 3 days is perfect. Keeps me busy, get to see patients. It's great during, this time when we had to take a couple months off, but good to have that social interaction again.
That's wonderful. More and more of my clients are, as they move along their practice life cycle, they start moving into that situation. I talked to 2 this week that are commuting from Florida to their practice on the East Coast. That's another way to go. And my dad was semi-retired for the last 5 years. He worked only 10 days a month. So you earned it. And I'm glad you found something that fits so well. Portland's a great town. My brother-in-law, raised his kids and grew up in Beaverton.
Oh yeah.
He's in Boston now, but just a few years ago he moved from there. Beautiful.
Right next to where we live.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's a nice area.
It's on my bucket list for sure. My son lives in Seattle, and I had never been to Seattle. I love Seattle, and I hear Portland's equally, if not more beautiful. So
a little more manageable.
Where are you, Ellen?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
So Midwest, all that good stuff. So
the top row of the Hollywood Squares here is in Chicago.
Oh yeah, we're both in Chicago.
That's where I want to go.
So
Chicago.
There we go.
I'd like to go anywhere right now.
Anywhere, yes. Well, I don't know how many of you know about Danny, but Danny's quite the quite the traveler and climber. You climbed Everest, right, Danny?
I warmed up on Everest. Went to base camp before we tried something a little more technical, about 8 miles from there, called Ama de Blam.
Mm. Oof! Wow, that's amazing. Well, hi there. We've got a guest. Nice to see you.
Barbie.
What's your name?
I'm Jack.
This is Jack.
Jack. Hi, Jack.
Oh, Jack.
Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can help him with this next activity that we're going to do. We're going to all do this together in the same room, since there's just enough of us so we can just go around and do this. So I'm just going to call on people to do this, and I'm going to call on my partner to start out. And this is all about body language and what body language has to do with communication. And I was going to have Jim tell a story to open us up, but I think oh, yep. I actually am going to have Jim tell a quick story about what baseball has to do with body language. And I was surprised. I was actually quite surprised.
Yes, definitely body language is important in baseball. It was probably one of the few mental lessons that I was taught when I was a kid. You know, my coaches would come up and they would tell everybody, you know, if you're on that mound and you're walking guys, giving up hits, and there's errors behind you, do not show body language. Do not show that you're upset. And I'm sure many of you had kids and they played sports, and even if not your kid, you could see the other kids, you know, when they're struggling, you know, the shoulders slump, you know, the head goes down, they shuffle, you know, some of them are crying, whatever it is, they're giving, you know, mumbling, and they're kicking the dirt. And in baseball, especially pitching, it's the worst thing you could do, because now the other team sees you moping. They see they have you beat. Now everybody's racing to the bat rack, and they want to bat and they want to hit you so bad, right? They know they got you beat. And, you know, I think that's probably kind of the same deal on medical teams, right? If you're in the front part of the office and, you know, you're having a bad day, or there's some patient just annoying you, you know, if you're not controlling your body language, if you're showing them that you're aggravated, you know, the customer service is not going to be there. And that's really, you're the figurehead of the office when somebody walks in. And I know this is true just because recently I changed dentist practices. My wife got different insurance. The one we had didn't accept it. So I went to a new place, and this woman there named Mary took my kids needed a checkup. So she took my appointments, and she was awesome. She was great. She was engaging, loved her. Then when I got to the office, she was the same person. She was asking my kids questions. She was making sure that I knew everything about insurance. She was very loose and easy and fun. And when I got home, my wife asked me, you know, how's the new dentist office? And I was like, the place is great. It's awesome. And when I thought about it, I'm like, it had really had nothing to do with the dentist at the time. No offense to the dentist, but it was, you know, he just gave him a checkup and told me what was wrong. But it was the interaction I had with that woman in the front where I really liked the place. And, you know I've been into doctor's office where, you know, that person you're seeing is their head's in the computer, they're typing, and they're like 1 second, and then they just look up and say name. And, you know, that's not a way to start off with a patient and a client, right? So it really is about that body language and how you're portraying yourself to somebody you're trying to get a connection with. So Ellen,
Danny,
I know you have something about that. You're going to start off with the performance activity.
I am, but I just wanted to segue real quick to Danny for a second, because Danny, I bet you have something to say about what Jim just said.
Yeah, more than a little. We've sort of built a lot of our business on recognizing that, you know, success is a chain, and a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And my firm specializes largely in getting the phone to ring. But it's what happens when the phone rings that will make or break the success of a practice. The average practice, in fact, I'll speak about this when I'm introducing our presenter for next month. The average practice converts maybe 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3 to 4 calls from a prospective patient. And the reason that they fail to connect is that they lack the empathy that we've been speaking about and trying to develop here today with these wonderful exercises. It makes or breaks an office, and you can literally double or triple the new patient flow of a practice without spending another dollar on getting the phone to ring, just by upping your game on the phone, by showing people that you care, because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh, you've said that before. Say it one more time.
I'll say it again.
Yeah. You can't get people to care unless what? No, say that again. I'm going to jumble it.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
I love that.
Nice.
It's more about,
I can't. So
it's more about the relationship than, so it's less transactional and more of a relationship.
Well put,
Definitely.
Joe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this activity that we're going to do, believe it or not, is called I Had Pancakes for Breakfast. That's what it's called. And all we're going to do is go around the room and say, I had pancakes for breakfast. But I'm going to ask you to add an emotion to that and actually have you try on that emotion and try and portray that emotion in the way you say, I had pancakes for breakfast. For instance, if I said, Jim, angry, how would that sound?
I had pancakes for breakfast.
That sounded angry. Definitely. Versus how would you normally say it?
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Which was more interesting?
Angry.
Number one.
I don't know. I don't know if you want me yelling in your face.
Well, yes. You in a practice, you don't want to be doing that. But as my favorite improv teacher, Susan Messing, always said, all you have to do is add emotion to become more interesting on stage. And that's true in life as well. So we're going to practice this. So I'm going to pick on Eileen first. Eileen, happy.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Awesome. Danny, overwhelmed.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
I'm overwhelmed just looking at you. Eva, sad.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Brad, embarrassed.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Oh, I'd be embarrassed too. Oh, well done. Awesome. Joe, let's guilty.
Oh, I had pancakes for breakfast.
Shame on you. Great job. I love it. Mark, let's anxious.
I had had pancakes for breakfast.
Oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable right now. Awesome. That was great. Margot, let's see. Shocked.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Awesome. Yay. That was terrific. All right. I'm going to pick one for myself. Love struck. That's next on the list. So I had pancakes for breakfast this morning. That's so fun. Okay. Mr. Mecir, let's see. Jealous.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Yes, that was jealous. Yes. Okay, Danny, I want to see shy.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Oh, awesome. That was great. Eileen, frightened.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
So, Brad, you're confused.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
I don't know. Did you?
I guess.
Great. Well done. Well done. Eva, smug. This is a tough one. Oh,
I had pancakes for breakfast.
nailed it.
Wow, that's great.
Well done. Wow. Okay. Joe, suspicious.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I'm a little suspicious about that.
Well done. Margot, afraid.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Oh, well done. And last but not least, oh, here we go. Appalled, Mark.
I had pancakes for breakfast.
Give yourselves a hand. That was so great. Oh my gosh, so great. Well done. We have a troupe of improvising actors amongst us. So we were going to send you into breakout rooms to talk about what this has to do with being in a practice. And I think we got to that a little bit, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about your thoughts. So I just had you go around and say, I had pancakes for breakfast with emotion. How is that relevant to your performance at work or even at home with your family or spouses? Anybody willing to share?
Yeah. I know that in working with dental practices and in life in general, the emotion that carries the day in a positive way is enthusiasm. Henry Ford is credited, and I don't know if this is apocryphal or not, but he's credited with saying that nobody ever bought anything without an exchange of enthusiasm. And it's such a great exercise to illustrate this. Anything can be done with enthusiasm. You obviously want to be appropriate and use a fair degree of emotional intelligence. You want to read the person, but people, especially on the phone, and this is what you were talking about, Ellen, how you're performing. When we're on the telephone, we're all performing because we don't have the visual component which is the largest percentage of effective communication is the visual component. When you're on the phone, you don't have it. So you got to make the verbal and the vocal components bigger. And one way to do that is to exude enthusiasm. Because if you're not excited about what you're doing, how can you expect somebody else to be excited about what you're doing?
And also, Ellen, what I forgot to say before, it's also about your words. So if your words don't match your body language, they're going to believe your body language. So if you're in person with somebody, and your words are not matching the body, they're going to go, well, they see it. It's just obvious to them. And that's when a lot of people get in trouble, especially I would think in Danny and in front part of the office, if they're not faking it, if they're having a bad day and they're showing it, it's going to affect the patient.
Yeah, I think the phrase, it's something along the lines of what you're feeling is speaking so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying.
Well, we happen to have an expert in the area of emotional intelligence with us, and I'd love to get your take, Mark, on. So a lot of people say, well, I don't feel like it. I'm faking it. I don't feel like I'm real. What, or am I putting you on the spot? Sorry.
Yeah.
You're doing both, and please continue.
So if someone says, I just can't fake it. I can't, if I'm not feeling happy, I can't fake being happy. What does emotional intelligence tell us about that? Or doesn't it tell us about that? And I'm putting you on the wrong spot.
Yeah. Well, I would say don't fake being happy, because you're probably, unless you're a really good actor, it's not going to work very well. What I would say though is kind of think about the impact on the other person. So one of the aspects about emotional intelligence is relationships and how we affect others. So you can be unhappy. And, as Danny said, if you're going to continue to be unhappy though, that's going to impact people around you. And you may have a different intention in the relationship you want to create. Or if you're at work, whether you're a dentist or a hygienist or in any position, you may not impact people in the way that you want to feel better, to heal. So the more emotionally intelligent response would be, all right, yes, I feel crappy. And sometimes before I teach a workshop, and maybe you have the same thing, you may feel crappy, but my goal is to impact other people in a positive way. So maybe for the moment, I can tune into them and just tune away from me, decenter myself.
Well said.
Good
I love
point.
that. Yes, that's absolutely true. What do you want out of the relationship? What are your outcomes? That emotion, there's space between an emotion and a response. So says Viktor Frankl. The other thing is the difference between empathy and compassion. If you want to take action on feeling bad for someone, you can know that if you act and do something for someone else, that it will have positive outcomes for both of you. So you can make the choice to put on that performance, and you can make a difference for someone. And I think I mentioned up top, if we think we are a fixed personality, but we're not. We have so many different performances. If I'm talking to my best friends, I'm talking like this, or because you're my best friends, right? But if I'm talking to a baby, I'm like, oh, you little sweetheart. I don't talk to my friends like that. Or if I see a puppy, I'm talking puppy language, right? Those are all different performances that we have. So when
What
we
is
can,
puppy language, Ellen?
oh,
Now I'm really curious.
He's returning the favor for the on the spot.
yes,
That's right.
I got it. I got it.
But Ellen, seriously, I think there's something to be said for, it's almost like epigenetics. A lot of my fellow healthcare people know about that, which is that you can actually manipulate the DNA by changing the environment, and by changing your body language, you can actually change your mood. And it's not always, it's short of magic, but it's very powerful. Let's say that. And if you're sad, and the way you talk to yourself, the way you comport yourself, the way you carry yourself, that all can be either self-reinforcing, or you can break out of it just by wearing a smile. It's difficult to be unhappy if you smile, actually. And there's other techniques that you can use, which is just recognizing. It goes to empathy, really, is getting outside. I learned this from climbing. When I was, and everybody goes through a point where when the wheels fall off, and you just don't know if you can carry on. I learned that when I focused on somebody else on the team who was hurting, that my compassion for them actually lifted my own spirits, which is a remarkable thing when you think about it.
They say that in the Navy SEALs, right? When they're going through, what is it, Hell Week or whatever?
Hell Week.
Yeah.
yes,
That's right.
yes.
Same thing.
This,
Yes, Margo.
this is a great group
Margo.
of people. I love this. These are such great conversations, and we could go on and on, but I want to get in one more activity before we have to break at 25 after, so Danny can do his filling in. So what I want to do, this is something I do with my improv groups, and I really hadn't planned on doing with all of you, but since we have such amazing performers here tonight, we're gonna do what I call pass the character. Okay. And what that means is that it's kind of like I have pancakes, but we're going to say, so we'll say one line of dialogue, and then you are going to call on someone else to heighten whatever it is that you did. And what I mean by that is, Eileen, you know what that means. So will you play with me on this for a second? I'm putting you on the spot.
This is, I guess, a theme, right? We're just
Yes, put people on the spot. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, actually, just say any line of dialogue, but kind of add a little bit of a character to it. Not a lot, just a little bit. Any line of dialogue, and I will heighten it.
Okay.
Something simple.
What's the problem?
What's the problem? So you see how I took, sorry, Eileen, see how I took what she said and I heightened it? I made it a little bit more. It doesn't necessarily mean louder or angrier. I just twisted it, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna say a line, and I'm gonna call on Eileen to heighten my line. Eileen will call on somebody else to heighten her line, and we'll do that a couple more times, and I'm gonna say stop, and then I'm gonna say new line, new character, and the next person will say a whole different line. It can be, say, I brushed my teeth. It doesn't matter what you say, and you just say it a little bit different, however you want, and then whoever you call on will heighten it just a little bit, and we'll keep heightening it and changing it, okay? All right, cool. So let's see. It's Friday already.
Danny. It's
Oh,
Friday
did you call on me?
already. It's Friday already.
It's Friday already.
Now call on someone else, Danny.
Brad.
It's Friday already?
Call on someone else.
Jim.
It's Friday already.
All right. Okay. Now new Jim calling someone else, but new line, new character.
All right. I'll go Margot. What you talking about, Willis?
Is that copyrighted?
We're going to pay royalties for this.
You talking about, Willis? Eva.
You talking about Willis?
Call on someone, Eva.
Mark.
What you talking about, Willis? Joe.
What you talking about, Willis?
Awesome. I love it. All right, Joe, call on someone else. That person will come up with a new line and a new character.
All right, Danny.
Gee, I love dentistry.
Call on someone, Danny.
I'm thinking. Ellen.
Gee, I love dentistry. Brad.
Gee, I love dentistry.
I believe that.
Margot.
Gee, I love dentistry. Joe.
Oh, geez, I love dentistry.
Good one.
Now pick someone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark.
Gee, I love dentistry.
All right, new line, new character.
I will hand it to Brad.
How are you? Eileen.
How are you? Eva.
How are you? Jim.
How are you? Joe.
How are you? Ellen.
How are you? All right, new line, new character. One more round. Margot.
Okay. It's that time of year. Brad.
It's that time of year. Let's see. Mark?
It's that time of year. Eva.
It's that time of year. Joe.
It's that time of year.
Oh. We got Danny and Eileen left.
Danny?
It's that time of the year.
Was it tax time?
Yes, exactly.
Last but not least, Eileen.
That time of year.
Yay! Right, really quick, I want you to just speak up whenever, whoever can or whoever wants to. I want you to tell me one thing that you're taking away from this evening. One thing you're taking away.
I'll kick us off. The connection doesn't have to take long. It can be a moment. We just have to be deliberate about it.
Oh, wonderful. I love it.
I'll go next. We spend so much time at work. Remember, you can have fun while you're making a living.
And it doesn't take much.
Right, take some time off to do something different.
I think bringing that emotion to the morning huddle and just starting off the day right.
Morning huddles, yes.
On the right foot. That's great.
I love that.
I
Anyone
would
else?
say, Jim's story about the catcher. He made everyone feel really good, even though he wasn't the most talented player on the team.
Well, and if I may, I think that it was said earlier, I think by Jim about his experience at the dentist. In healthcare, they did a survey to find out why people chose a hospital or one facility over another, and the title of this thick, voluminous report was "It's the Nurses, Stupid." And I think the point that they're making is that the typical patient can't really tell the difference between good and great medical care, but they can tell the difference between good and great or not so good communication. Right or wrong, that's the reality. So you might as well master this along the way.
Sorry. A smile is the closest connection we have with each other. It's contagious and it's physiologically good for us emotionally. Learning to smile more is really important. Show, don't tell your feelings.
Now, I have
Very
to
good.
say that Margot really knows that. Margot works with patients with Parkinson's, and I sat in on one of her sessions. And how many people are usually on that session, Margot?
Oh, about 8 to
About
10.
8 people. And it's profound what she's done for them. You see smiles of delight on people that can barely speak. We had these two older gentlemen who didn't speak well, but they were singing opera. I mean, it's just amazing what you can do with these kinds of activities to bring people out of their normal zone and get them trying on new performances. So we are going to share with Danny the activities that we did tonight. So if you want to try them with your own team, you'll have the instructions, or anytime reach out to us to get some help or some ideas. We're always happy to help with teams. And
Well, Ellen, I put our information in that chat box right now.
okay.
Oh, great.
Great.
So
That's
reach out to
great.
us anytime. And
All right.
thank you all. You've been great players and improvisers, and we truly appreciate you being here this evening. And I'm going to turn it over to Danny.
Well, thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Jim. And thank you all for participating. This really was a team effort, which is, this was a bit of a departure for Practice Perfection. But, if the current environment hasn't taught us to stretch and improvise, I don't know what will. And I think everyone stepped up and made this a lot of fun and something I'd like to do again in the really near future. And thanks again to you, Ellen, and Jim for agreeing to share those instructions so that the people can take this with them and practice these activities and exercises with their own team, their family, their friends. Heck, go out and try with a stranger. You never know.
It's already a TV show, Danny, Practical Jokers.
And you're also letting people know through chat then how they can get a hold of you. Is that correct? About ways that they can?
There.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, good. Let me just conclude by reminding you that you'll all receive an email with instructions on how to receive your continuing education credit if you are a healthcare provider. And now I want to invite you to mark your calendars for Thursday, January 14th at 6 p.m. Central Time, again, when my next guest will be Rob Klaus. He is the president and founder of Unique Dental Scheduling, and Rob will deliver a highly valuable and informative presentation entitled A Front Office Insider's Guide to Supercharging Your Marketing ROI with Call Center Technology that fits your practice and your budget. As I alluded to earlier, the typical dental practice fails to convert upwards of 65% of prospective patient inquiries, which means that your practice can nearly triple patient flow without investing another buck in marketing simply through consistent and accurate phone support that duplicates the culture and professionalism that you already have in your practice. So if your goal is consistent practice growth, you'll want to be on board for this one. In the meantime, this is Danny Bobrow, thanking you for your ongoing commitment to practice perfection. Goodbye, everybody.
Great, thanks.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So great. So much fun.